A lot of the things we take as normal are actually fucking insane, okay? The phrase "to earn a living" is batshit crazy. Do you understand how crazy that is? To earn a living implies that if you don't earn, you fucking die. You have to earn the right to live. Is that not a God-given right? Especially when we have enough resources to feed everyone and have a lot left over, right? And we're choosing to create a society in which you have to work to not die? I mean, sure, make it so you have to work to afford luxuries. Okay, fine, we can argue on that. But I think we could all hopefully agree that you shouldn't have to work to not starve to death, right? Like that is a crazy thing that is normal. And a lot of people will tell you that's normal, but it's crazy that it's normal. That is insane when we have the resources to make it not normal. That's the key point there, right? It's not the fucking Middle Ages. We have enough food. We have a large surplus. And the other thing is medical supplies, right? Medical treatment, medical care, drugs, whatever it may be. How the fuck is that a for-profit business? I mean, genuinely, how the fuck are you going to sit there and not just give that to people? I mean, even if it's a for-profit business, have the government buy it and give it out for free. Like, there's ways to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so crazy that we're all just normalizing this and we're arguing for scraps. We're literally arguing over scraps. Do you understand that? Every day we wake up and fight for political causes that are fucking scraps. You know, UBI would solve a lot of things, but that's scraps. $1,000 a month? You think that's gonna fucking cut it? I mean, Jesus Christ.
At this point, UBI needs to be $2,500 a month.
I agree, 100%. So yeah, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the A&M podcast. I'm your host, Andre Morton, and he's the Left Independent, aka Left Indy, and we're coming to you live from the ATP Network. You can catch us on the ATP Network on all major platforms, and we also have a podcast platform. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever you get your podcasts. Anyway, the only shameless plug I got is if you're listening to it, follow the official ATP Network Twitter account. The handle for that on the bottom of your screen right there is at ATP Network 247. And if you're watching via video, like the video. It don't cost you a damn thing. Like
share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a video.
Yes, sir. So yeah, Mike, you'll elaborate on that video about UBI, man. Like, what's your general thoughts on it? I thought that dude cooked.
Yeah, like I said, UBI is great, but again, like the young man pointed out, $1,000 isn't shit, dude. It's got to be at least $2,500 a month. But you know,
a joke.
But and don't get me wrong, though. I fully support restoring and expanding Medicare to cover everyone here in the United States, whether or not that person is a citizen. I support UBI and all that stuff. I support universal SNAP benefits. But here's the elephant in the room that nobody ever seems to want to talk about. Why are prices so goddamn high on everything to begin with? Whether it's food, medicine, clothing, housing, utilities, medical care. Why is all of this so expensive in the first place? Why do we not have price controls?
Yeah, rent control.
Because if you're not going to raise wages, and if you're not going to do universal basic income, then put some goddamn price controls on there so that we're not being gouged.
Exactly.
Because our wages have not kept up with pricing.
I know.
Because that's really what inflation is, when prices outpace wages.
Yeah. But like
why is there no cap on rent?
Exactly. It should be rent control.
Why do we have to pay anywhere from like $700 to $1,500 a month just for an efficiency or a one-bedroom unit? And that unit is no bigger than a tiny walk-in closet.
Yeah, and don't have.
I've heard that over in China you can afford a basic one-bedroom apartment for about $500 to $600 a month.
Yeah,
but it's a lot bigger and nicer than anything we've got over here right now.
And also too, Mike, I heard this guy on TikTok. he had a penthouse and he only paid $1,200 a month for a penthouse in China. You know
I
how much a
believe it.
penthouse would be in America? Got to be 5 or 6 grand.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Yeah, that's a good point. Like,
Yeah, I was
go.
watching this video earlier on my break from putting in job applications. I've got a phone interview on Thursday. Fingers crossed I get the job, but it's
Good luck,
not
man.
offering enough for me to live on. So, I'm going to have to ask him, look, I can't take the job for anything under $25 an hour at 40 hours a week.
Right.
Because with my experience and education, it's going to be worth a paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah. Like anything under $25 an hour. Yeah. These days, man, they ain't cutting it.
Yeah.
Um.
So,
Yeah.
I hope they decide, okay, yeah, fine, we'll give you the job at 25 an hour, but if it pays under that,
Yeah. No dice. Yeah.
and I run out of unemployment benefits in a couple of weeks,
Oh yeah. 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 You told me that. Yeah.
so I can't afford to turn down the job, but I also can't afford to work for anything under than what it's gonna than what I'm able to afford to live on.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I got one more video to share before we get to your topics. I'm pretty sure everybody in the world seen this, but it just like this guy is beyond sad. So let me play it.
Like any country on earth has the right to defend itself from terrorism, but it does not have the right to wage all-out war against the Palestinian people. Doing my best to demand not another nickel for Netanyahu's war machine. And as bad as all of that is, okay, in America today, we have more income. In America today,
Oh, this guy. Tell me, man.
in America today,
So yeah,
Oh,
I don't know, man.
Bernie, you had one job and you fucking blew it. When you turn around to see what people are booing at, and you see the cops removing the Free Palestine flag and
God.
removing the protesters, the first thing you should have done was get that mic, look those cops dead in the eye, and say, you got to the count of 3 to put that flag back and leave those people alone and get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
I
what
would
I
have done.
said. That's what I said in my show earlier. I'm like, bro, like you seen the flag. You supposed to be, well, even though he's a Zionist cook, but at least act like you have some solidarity or something. Like,
Yeah,
holy
for all
fuck,
these mouthing all these platitudes against Netanyahu,
yeah,
but where was that fire during the 15 months of the Biden regime and Biden's sending money and weapons, blank check to Tel Aviv to do whatever the fuck it want, no controls whatsoever. Where was his fire then? He's only out there because now it's happening under Trump, but the entire time under Biden, crickets. Same thing with Ocasio-Cortez and the so-called squad.
Quiet, yeah.
And they only ever complain when it's Republicans doing it.
Yeah, like the Democrats don't have an oligarchy behind them. That would drive me fucking crazy. Like they both get money from the same fucking donors. Like I know Bernie got more common sense than that. Like you're calling out the Republican oligarchy, but the Democrats got an oligarchy too themselves. You know what I mean? Like it's not a movement about getting third parties to come together. You know, him and AOC saying, "Hey, you know, fuck both parties. Let's coalesce with the Green Party or PSL or any other party." It's nothing but sheep herding people back to the fucking Democratic Party. Like, and you got people like Cal Kalinske out there saying that, you know, we're fake lefties because we're not going along with Bernie and AOC's grift. So, yeah, it drives me crazy, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, Kyle Kukalinski really has no cause to talk, considering he's, you know, like his mentor Bernie Sanders, he's a huge cuck to the Democrats anyway. I mean, no matter what they do, no matter what happens, every reason they give to walk away, and he still refuses to do it. Like when Cornel West was running for the presidency, I mean, you know, not that he didn't make mistakes in strategy, you know, starting off with the Movement for a People's Party, which is itself a libertarian party grift, but and then going with the Green Party and then deciding, no, I don't want to stay with the Green Party. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand criticizing based on mistakes like that, because it shows indecisiveness and that you really don't know what you're doing. But when Kuklinski is like, what do you think you're doing? Because you know you can't win. It's like, what the fuck, dude? You're going to lecture a black man like that, who's many years your senior?
Exactly, man.
You wouldn't do that to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden.
Nope.
Or to your boy Chunk Yogurt.
Yeah.
Or to Anal Shaiskopfian.
That's a new one I heard. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's crazy. Like all these people's job to me, like the Kalinskis, Humanist Reports.
Yeah, you know, TYT Network and the Doorknob Network, they will say shit to black people, women, trans folk. They would never, ever dare say to people like RFK Jr. or Alex Jonestown or Jordan Peterless or whatever, because they're too busy sucking up to those assholes to really call them out on anything.
Yeah,
or Tim Fool.
Tim Fools and the Ben Shapiro, man, that's a piece, man. I'm telling you. I
Perpetual Virgin Ben Shapiro. Yeah, there's a, or as I call him, Helium Boy, because he always sounds like he's talking like he's just like a truckload of helium. It's like, dude, if you're over 40 and you still sound like your balls haven't dropped, there's a problem. On, dude.
Oh my god!
Like, you know, growing a fake beard is not going to make you look any more of a man. Because there's more to being a man than simply chronological age. No, you have to actually act like a man, and that means behaving with integrity, honesty. You know, even when doing so doesn't bring you any material benefit. Doing what's right, even though there's no benefit and actually might bring harm to you, you still do it because it's right.
Right.
You know? So Gandhi
Exactly.
was a man, flawed man, but still a man. So was Dr. King. So was Malcolm X.
You're right, man.
You know, so was Sidney Poitier. You know, these were men. But people like Jordan Peterless and Andrew Taint, they're not men. They're little boys who've utterly failed to, in every meaningful capacity, to grow up. Okay, man or woman or adult, more generally, it's not just a physical state; it's a title that you have to earn. I will tell people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s to grow the fuck up if I think they're acting like spoiled little children.
And I know a lot of people in there.
And right now that applies to Bernie fucking Sanders. Who's nothing but a fucking hypocrite. For all the shade he has against Trump.
Fight the oligarchy.
But he never dares. But he calls a kitty molester Joe Biden his good friend. It's like, no.
The next FDR.
No. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
Calling him the ex-FDR. Are you fucking kidding me, man? Get the fuck
and how the hell do you just let how do you remember in 2005 or 2006 it was John Kerry was doing his usual monotone drone at some college, and this student was talking in line. He was basically talking and going on a bit of a ramble, but the campus pigs came in physically, picked him up, and tried to haul him away, and ended up tasing him. And Kerry, even though he's a United States senator, he's doing nothing to help this kid. He's just droning on in that monotone voice for people to remain calm. It's like, dude, you're a fucking government official. Act like it. You see someone being tortured in front of you, you step in and stop it and say, guys, you know who I am?
Yeah.
Do you know what I can do to you? You either back off this kid now, or you're not going to have jobs in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah. All Bernie Sanders had to do was like, hey, leave him alone, leave the flag down. That's all he had to say. Then
exactly.
He would have continued his own spiel that he'd been saying for the last 10 fucking years. Like,
yeah, he was trying to move the conversation from Netanyahu to oligarchy. But if you're not even standing up for Palestinian activists or people who are activists for Palestinians, and you're just going to let them be hauled away by the pigs,
right,
and not say shit, you deserve to get booed, Sanders. You're a fucking fraud.
Yeah, they're booing him too, even though they on the caption they say they're booing the cops. They're booing him too because he
because he's not doing anything.
Man.
It's like, Sanders, grow the fuck up. Grow a spine. Stand up to these assholes.
Yeah.
Because if you won't, who else will?
Exactly. My question to you, then we can move on. Do you think the Democratic Party got something on Bernie, like a P-tape or something? Because it's like he cuts to him so
he
easily.
doesn't want to end up getting turned into Ralph Nader or Dennis Kucinich.
I think
it's rank cowardice, so he never had the courage of his convictions.
Yeah.
He's one of those people who talks a good game but can't walk when it counts.
Yeah. Don't bite. All bark, no bite.
Yeah, it's like he knows his limitations and refuses to step outside of them, which isn't always a bad thing, to know your limitations and to not take stupid risks. But in politics, you have to take risks to do what's right.
Exactly.
Because people will see your actions and how they differ from your words. And if your words and your actions don't match up, if you waver for even a minute on your principles, if you seem even once to be a hypocrite, people will turn on you like a bunch of rabbit fucking animals. And that's what they were starting to do at that rally. And that's why they were booing him along with the cops, because they knew he does not have the courage of his convictions. He will not stand up when it matters. I mean, he won't even stand up for himself when the Democrats twice cheated him out of the primary victory that was rightfully his, that he had earned.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
And instead of fighting for his victory, he surrendered without even a pretense of a fight. It's like, if you won't even stand up for yourself, how do you expect to believe that you'll stand up for them?
Right. It's like, to me, I remember 2016, like, his peers was fighting harder at the DNC convention than he was. It's like he just bend the fucking knee. Just bend the knee. You know what he should have did?
You never learn.
Yeah. he should have dropped out and say, you know what, fuck the Democratic Party. I'm gonna run as a third party, independent, whatever, whatnot. He just fucking yeah. He just
Right. Well, like
he
I
had the
said, he's
ball in
afraid of
his
being
court.
turned into Ralph Nader, which, don't
Right.
get me wrong. I mean, that's a legitimate fear, but you have to risk that. You have
You
to.
have
I
to
mean,
risk, yeah.
there's this documentary. It's called An Unreasonable Man, where Lawrence O'Donnell, who's one of the talking heads on MSDNC, but he was saying, if you want to move the Democratic Party to the left, and I'm quoting him here, he says, you must convince them that you're capable of not voting for them. Because if they know that there's no political consequences to ignoring you, then they're just going to keep on ignoring you. They're going to laugh at you like they did at the DNC last year, where you've got that those assholes, so they're plugging the ears or simply laughing at activists, asking him, look, do you oppose genocide? And, they've got that one asshole who's going, yeah, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, yeah. That's who the liberals are. What you just described. Yeah, fucking asshole pricks. Like it's blue MAGA, red MAGA. Same.
But it's still
Two birds of
MAGA.
the same feather. Yeah, two birds of the
And I
same
wonder
feather.
why they lost the election.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they won't even stand up to Trump's deportation policy,
I know.
which is about the only thing that he has going for him right now. His tariff policy blew up in his face.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got a lot to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's that's what I was coming to the table tonight to talk about, because yeah, we've got Trump blink. This is from 6 days ago. I'm going to go in chronological order. So Trump blinks on tariffs, proving what we already knew. He's a chicken.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that he's a chicken. He's just stupid.
Yeah, stupid. Yeah, that's a better term.
The fuck's going on here at the? Oh yeah. All right, so sorry, I've got this video here. It's like it says, if there's one thing that's absolutely clear about Donald Trump's sensible, resolute, and consistent tariff. Okay, so this is from USA Today, which is a right-wing rag, but if you're calling Trump's tariff policy sensible, resolute, and consistent, you're out of your fucking mind, because it's been absolutely anything but sensible or resolute or consistent.
Oh
One
my
day
God.
they're on, the next day they're off.
Yeah, on off on. Good God Almighty.
Yeah, so this moron, let's see, Rex Hupke, who looks like he hasn't had a hairline in about 30 years, but he says, if there's one thing that's absolutely clear about Donald Trump's sensible, resolute, and consistent tariff policy, it's that he's definitely not a chicken who panicked the minute things started looking bad. I'm going to assume, I have to assume that this clown shoe is being sarcastic, because he obviously did panic and did a 180 the minute things started looking bad.
Yeah, he folded like a lunch.
What the fuck? Yeah, with markets reeling and the odds of a recession shooting up, Trump made a Wednesday afternoon announcement that he would pause or lower the previously announced big, strong, necessary reciprocal tariffs he had placed on all countries. China was the only nation that didn't get the pause or lower treatment. It was an about-face of biblical proportions, given that a mere 5 days had passed since Trump posted on social media, "My policies will never change." Well, obviously they did. So Trump decided to hang tough on tariffs for a few minutes, then fold. Okay, so I'm assuming this guy's being sarcastic here.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I can see that's
because the moment the bond market saw the tariffs go into effect, that they started panicking. So Japan, of all places, was trying to dump U.S. Treasury bonds.
Damn.
Not China, as you might expect, although
I
it
thought
should.
China would. Yeah.
No, Japan, one of our staunchest vassals since World War II ended.
Damn.
Thoroughly cucked since we nuked them twice 80 years ago.
Yeah.
They started dumping U.S. Treasury bonds. That's how bad the market chaos was. So the bond market helped Trump helped make Trump blink on tariffs. I was watching it. So this is from Alexandra Canal, senior reporter. She doesn't look a day over 30, so I don't know why she's called a senior, but oh well. Okay, but it said Trump hit the pause button on reciprocal tariffs, and the bond market convinced him. In the lead up to the dictator's pivot, markets were unraveling. Stocks slid sharply, with the S&P 500 on the brink of a bear market. If you don't know what a bear market is, it's bad. Okay, it's not a bull market, which is a bull in a china shop charging forward. No, it's a bear market, which apparently means collapse or panicking. But the real alarm bell, a sharp, unexpected surge in long-term treasury yields, a move that seemed to force the dictator's hand. The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it. Trump admitted to reporters shortly after the announcement, people were getting a little queasy. So at its highs of the week on Wednesday, the 10-year yield traded at 4.47%, a massive 60 basis point swing from Monday's low of 3.87%, and the biggest 3-day jump since December of 2001. So, and you can go ahead and read this in the links if you want to, but basically what happened was Trump announced the tariffs. He went ahead and blinked, and that's because the stock market plunged. We were talking like almost Great Depression level plunges until he decided to backtrack and claim victory. So Trump is pausing again because he's lifted tariffs on things such as microchips and other materials that the United States doesn't produce and doesn't have the capacity to refine, and absolutely needs for its war effort against China. So as long as those tariffs remain in place, the U.S. would not be able to obtain these unless it's prepared to fully go to war without sufficient resources to try and claim them, but then it has no ability to refine any of the raw materials or build any of this stuff because it spent so many years outsourcing to other countries, it no longer has a manufacturing base. So his tariff policy was always doomed to fail from the start. So now he's thinking of pausing automobile tariffs because U.S. auto manufacturers are lagging way behind. China is now dominating the automobile market, especially for electric vehicles.
Yeah.
It's outselling Teslas.
Yeah.
So it said on Wednesday, which is today, Trump on Monday suggested that he might temporarily exempt the auto industry from tariffs he previously imposed on the sector to give car makers time to adjust their supply chains. I'm looking at something to help some of the car companies with it, Trump told reporters gathered in the Oval Office. The dictator said automakers needed time to relocate production from Canada, Mexico, and other places, and they need a little bit of time because they're going to make them here, but they need a little bit of time, so I'm talking about things like that. So this comes across like Trump is basically winging it. And over here you've got a video that says from trade war to trade talks. So let me go ahead and...
India's stock markets zoom in trade today. Both the benchmark indices, the Nifty and the Sensex, surging over 2% in trade, with the Nifty rallying over 500 points, while the Sensex spiking over 1,500 points. So what really are the reasons for this sharp surge? And is the sharp rebound here to stay? To decode this, I'm joined by Ajay Bagga, senior market expert, as well as Prilok Gupta, international trade expert. Thank you both for your time and for joining us for this special discussion. Ajay Bagga, with Donald Trump blinking and markets booming, a volatile market dependent on Trump and global cues, you'd say?
Yeah, absolutely. Global sentiments are better today, and we are seeing that reflection in our markets.
Right, global sentiment is better, and we're seeing that reflection in our markets. But are you saying that now, day after day, of course, we have seen the tariff flip-flop, we have seen, of course, what the cost of all these tariff tantrums, as we were calling it, have had. So do you think now, day after day, our markets are also dependent on what is going to happen in the rest of the world?
After a while, we do become dependent, and mostly it's because of the portfolio flows. So we have seen over the last 4 days, if you saw, FI sold in the cash market 9,000 crores, 4,000, 4,000, 2,500. So that was what was an overhang. Today, the rupee is stronger. It's a pointer that probably FIs might have a net buy figure today. So it's more through the portfolio flows that we were getting linked into the global sentiment cycle. Otherwise, we are a very strong domestic economy, and the domestic story remains intact.
Yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea of what this all means, is that Trump has been advocating for tariffs since the 1980s, all right? The idea, and this is according to Michael Hudson, and let me go ahead and show this on the screen here, but Michael Hudson basically has been making the argument that Trump's tariff policy was mainly to continue the neoliberal order, basically the United States reasserting its dominance over the world by saying, okay, you're going to give us all your manufacturing and all your goods and raw materials so that we can make profit on it. And if you get any crumbs at all, consider yourselves lucky. Yeah. So let me go ahead and share this with you. So yeah, this is Michael Hudson at Geopolitical Economy Report. So he said Michael Hudson argues that Trump has no plans to deal with the problems that caused United States deindustrialization. His tariffs are just a neoliberal program under another guise to benefit the wealthy donor class. So the summary here, and I'll just read from the summary because the article is a bit longer than we have time for. But it says, Trump's tariff policy has thrown markets into turmoil among his allies and enemies alike. This anarchy reflects the fact that his major aim was not really tariff policy, but simply to cut income taxes on the wealthy by replacing them with tariffs as the main source of government revenue. Extracting economic concessions from other countries is part of his justification for this tax shift as offering a nationalistic benefit for the United States. His cover story, and perhaps even his belief, is that tariffs by themselves can revive American industry, but he has no plans to deal with the problems that caused America's deindustrialization in the first place. There's no recognition of what made the original United States industrial program and that of most other nations so successful. So basically, what Hudson is arguing is that without actually doing anything to revive American manufacturing, because that requires massive government intervention that neither Trump or Biden or any politician in Washington is willing to do, because that would require imposing obligations onto private corporations. It might mean nationalizing resources and even companies. It might mean having federal requirements on everything from wages to labor laws to environmental protections, but primarily to force manufacturers to start actually shutting down operations overseas and reopening them up over here to truly rebuild domestic manufacturing infrastructure, which we badly need. So if you're not willing to do any of that, then all the tariffs serve to accomplish is to tax smaller companies and individuals rather than force companies to pay taxes in order to implement a New Deal style program.
Yeah.
But I don't think Trump even put in the thought over that. I think he was seriously convinced through decades of being in his own echo chamber with no one really willing to tell him the truth and be the adult in the room. But he was thinking, oh yeah, we'll just impose tariffs to crush other nations' economies so that they move all their manufacturing over here so that the government won't actually have to do anything to force American companies to actually bring manufacturing back.
Right.
So we'll reap all the profits, but the other countries will bear all the burdens.
Which we know that's not true.
Exactly. So Trump never thought any of this out. Okay, people are giving him too much credit for knowing what he's doing. No, the boy has the attention span of a fucking goldfish. Okay, I don't know why people think this boy has brain one in his head. He doesn't. But he does have an ideology, and that is of uncontested American dominance over the entire planet, like every other neoconservative. He's just more nakedly brazen about it than the Democrats are. And that's the only reason why he's getting any pushback, and even then it's only token. I mean, that pro-NATO rally said hands off NATO. It's like, bitch, are you fucking serious? Anti-Trump rally, hands off NATO. Why are you making me make a fucker Carlson did someone just fart expression? Are you fucking serious? Yeah. Come on. Why are you making me look like fucker Carlson? I hate that idiot. But seriously, God. I mean, but this whole debacle, and I'm calling it exactly what it is. It's a debacle. Trump imposed tariffs, tried to bully the rest of the planet into doing what he wanted, and some countries folded as they were going to. But the European Union pushed back and is considering its own tariffs. China retaliated with equal tariffs that remain 125%. Although, to be fair, they did say, there's no point raising them even further if he raises them up against us again, because it would just be a pointless pissing contest, and we're not about that. But guess what? Vietnam is making inroads into joining BRICS as all this is happening. Japan is dumping U.S. Treasury bonds. The European Union is seriously considering floating tariffs of its own on American goods and moving closer to China, which was the exact opposite of what Trump and company intended with these tariffs. Yeah. The idea was to try and peel countries away from China. And he's saying, we're going to start asking countries to choose between us and China. Well, guess what? You just did force countries to make a choice between the United States and China, and a lot of them are choosing China. Because unlike the United States, China does not put any preconditions on joining its economic cooperation, like the Belt and Road Initiative or the Shanghai Cooperation Initiative. China does not do that. It will enter into mutually beneficial arrangements, yes. Yeah. But it long ago decided, okay, we're not going to do the whole American my way or the highway thing, because then we're going to end up in the same trap as the United States. Yeah. We're just going to focus on rebuilding our country and then helping other countries rebuild themselves so that, we can build alliances based on mutual trust and respect. Now, that doesn't mean that China doesn't have its own self-interest or that it's, any kind of saint. No country is. Yeah. But it long ago figured out that the practical way to form alliances and make them last is to show genuine respect for other countries' sovereignty. And while it may have suggestions for how other countries can improve, it's basically saying, look, you run your country the way you need to, but, we're in this arrangement for mutual benefit. Yeah. And that's how it's forging alliances and getting other countries, such as Vietnam, which was, for the longest time, sitting on the fence trying to play the United States and China off of one another for its own self-preservation, both economically and politically. But now it's realizing that the United States is not a reliable partner in trying to balance things between itself and China. It's too unstable over here. It's unreliable. It's too prone to changing its positions on a whim to suit its own interests and fuck over its vassal states, like Ukraine, for example. Trump is trying to extract the United States from Ukraine, but in such a way that will make him look good. But the Russians aren't having it. The war ends on their terms or none at all. Yeah.
See, Trump thought he could control the narrative, but
Trump thought that he was going to turn Ukraine into a buffer state that would basically leave a NATO presence on Russia's border, which is the exact same thing that Russia went to war in the first place to prevent. Yeah. Because in order to secure 100% exclusive access and rights to extract Ukraine's mineral resources, you have to have some kind of military presence there to guard it.
Yeah.
And to rebuild the infrastructure needed to refine that.
Exactly.
And Russia's like, nope.
Russia said, not today, bitch. I
So
don't know.
Putin may be an asshole, but he's
Yeah.
not stupid. Because Trump and company telegraph what they're trying to do. And it's too obvious that he is not in charge of his own regime. I mean, Biden was not in charge of his regime either. He was too senile. And Kamala Harris was too brain dead from alcohol and repeat COVID infections to be of any use as other than a figurehead.
Right.
So the regime was actually being run by Anthony Blinken and Jake Sullivan. And they're psychophants. With Trump, it's actually Muskrat in charge. And Muskrat is on his way out, finally.
Thank
Because
God.
you don't hear too much about him anymore.
Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe
Yeah, because
it's
here's the thing. If and this just proves that Trump is not in charge of his own regime and that he's a craven little bitch. And I will tell them that to his face. Trump, you're a craven little bitch. You want to know why you're a little bitch, Trump? Because you let a 4-year-old tell you that you're not the president and that you need to go.
Dang.
And your response was not, get this brat the fuck out of here, and you go right along with him. You're out too. Because 4-year-olds only repeat what they hear their so-called grown-ups say to them.
Yeah.
Which means Muskrat was saying in front of this kid, oh, Trump's not really the president. He's my employee. I'm the one who's really in charge.
Exactly.
I remember Sabby over at Revolutionary Blackout Network and on her own show, she had that video where she played back the audio of J.D. Vance complaining about Muskrat.
Yeah, I remember.
Vance, Rubio, Kellogg, these clowns do not like Muskrat. They think he's annoying. They think he's weird. They think he's too much of a wrecking ball. Because they want government to be the same way that Muskrat wants government to be. But whereas Muskrat just believes in taking a wrecking ball to everything, and so does Trump, and that's why they get along so well together. But the other neocons in the regime, much like Biden, they would prefer a more orderly destruction, where it's more gradual so that, it happens slowly so that by the time it's finally dismantled, it's too late and we didn't even realize it. Whereas Muskrat is now shutting down Medicare and Social Security offices and making Twitter the only means by which people can check on their accounts. I don't see that working out too well, because a lot of the people who rely on Social Security and Medicare don't have Twitter.
I know.
They don't
My
have
mom don't have Twitter.
They don't have internet or computers. So this is a way to throw people off of public services by cutting them off from any ability to access them.
Exactly. And the way Twitter been glitching up lately? Yeah.
Yeah, because Muskrat doesn't understand code. So when he took over Twitter and when he took over the Department of Social Security and IRS and Medicare and Medicaid and all that, when he took those over and went in with his wrecking crew, saying delete all this code that I think is extraneous, and he's too stupid to realize, look, when you've got code that is that big and that old, you don't just start tearing shit out without putting anything in its place. There's a reason why that code is still in there, because if you try and remove it, you're going to fuck up the whole thing, because that's the foundational code.
I think that's the intent, though.
And you can't remove the foundation without replacing it, because otherwise the whole thing comes tumbling down at once and doesn't work anymore. And if your business model relies on that thing working, like Twitter,
oh my God, yeah,
you're in trouble. Which is why he recently had to sell Twitter to a shell company, so that when the inevitable call comes from his shareholders saying, hey, we want our money now, bitch, hand Twitter back over to us. Oh yeah, we're taking your shell company too, because Tesla shares are tanking.
Yeah.
Tesla's sales are tanking.
Yeah.
And Muskrat got bitch slapped on an MMORPG game that he was playing, where people told him,
Hold
you have no friends and you're gonna die alone.
up. Yeah. I
And
had
he
this
couldn't
game.
take that, and so he rage quit. But it's
Yeah.
true. The boy has no friends, because when you get to that level, see, you don't get to be that rich without ruining a whole lot of people's lives, which
Right.
means you don't have any true friends. You have suck-ups who tell you
Exactly.
what they think you want to hear and fluff your delicate little snowflake ego,
Exactly.
but they'll drop you the moment it becomes possible and convenient to do it.
Exactly.
The moment someone else comes along they can hook their fortunes to, because you just tanked your own by behaving like an immature Nazi brat in public for 3 years straight,
Yeah. It's
to the point where
crazy.
even J.D. Vance and others in the Trump regime think you need to be drug tested on a daily basis to make sure that you're actually mentally competent to come in that day.
Damn.
Yeah, that
God
was on
damn.
the audio that Sabby was playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed out on that part, but I did
Yeah,
remember, yeah, the authorship.
So it's
Damn.
so understandably, Muskrat was probably told, look, you either tone it down or you're out.
Yeah.
And Steve Bannon is
It's
trying to get himself back into Trump's good graces and get Muskrat out of there, because Bannon, much like the other neocons, realizes that Muskrat is tanking Trump's presidency by doing
oh
too
yeah.
much too soon.
Yeah, he Muskrat is trying to he come with like he had a chainsaw. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
He's trying to knock
chainsaw, wrecking
everything
ball,
down.
sledgehammer. Yeah, he and Trump are both a wrecking crew. And the problem with that the other neocons have with these two is that they prefer more orderly destruction.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're talking like, uh, I don't think it's necessarily peasants' revolt of 1381 levels. It might be French Revolution of 1789 levels,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
Reign of Terror following.
Oh my god.
Because history may
Yeah.
not repeat itself, but it does often rhyme, to
Yeah.
quote
I
Mark
can see
Twain.
that. Yeah. And
We
speaking
may
of
not have
Muskrat, I'm a
guillotines, but we can bring them out.
yeah.
We can build some
Speaking
real
of
quick.
oh yeah, man. Hey, we could tear some shit up, man. Yeah. So that's why, basically telling Muskrat, yeah,
That's
you
why
gotta
you've
head on
got
out.
people like Laura Loomer, Marjorie Taylor Greene, assholes like that, Kristi Noem, who are having to cancel town hall meetings because their constituents are reading them the riot act, and half the time not even letting them speak because they're that pissed off. It's like, oh, you said this was only happened to the dark skinned people. You're doing it to us. We trusted you. I mean, if you thought January 6th was uh, a clown show on
Yeah.
steroids, where like the cops, get mildly confrontational with the rioters, and they're like, "We were on your side. What are you doing?" It's like, what the? Well, they're doing what they're told, which is to tamp down any rioting.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Did you think these people were actually on your side? That they were working for you? And MAGA people are actually waking up to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that.
And so the Republicans who pander to MAGA, because the thing about Republicans and Democrats hold their base in contempt and waste no opportunity to screw them over. Republicans still fear their base, and rightly so, because they know there are political consequences, and in some cases, physical consequences,
Yeah.
as we saw 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even Republicans who are fully on board with Trump are canceling their town hall meetings because they're afraid of the peasantry.
Yeah.
And they should be. All
Exactly.
politicians should be shitting their pants daily.
Yeah.
Just at the mere thought of getting up and going into what they call work.
Yeah. But imagine if, I'm not liberal, but imagine if the liberal base did that to their own party. Like,
Well, we kind of are liberals. I think it's just what what gets called liberal is really just Democrats. Because if you actually look up the word liberal in the dictionary and you try and apply it to Democrats, you're going to fail every time because Democrats do not meet even one iota of that definition.
right.
And
Yeah.
then people will say, "Oh, but we're talking classical." No, it's not even classical liberalism.
Yeah.
Because classical liberalism believes in free markets. Guess what? Democrats do not believe in free markets. They believe in rigged markets, like the Republicans do, rigged to favor the extremely wealthy.
Yeah. Yep. You know what I was saying earlier. Like,
Democrats are not open-minded like liberals are.
yeah.
They don't have integrity. They don't believe in rights for people.
Exactly.
They don't believe in reining in business largesse. What part of the definition of liberal applies to Democrats? So when people, start talking shit about liberals, but you're talking shit about yourself. And I know this because I know how to read a fucking dictionary
Yeah.
and understand its
Yeah.
definitions.
Yeah.
And when I look
People
at
do.
the people you're calling liberal, I don't see liberals according to the dictionary. And when you start putting your politics on there, I'm seeing what fits very well into the definition of liberal.
Yeah.
But these people are
Yeah.
calling themselves leftists and communists. It's like, dude, I haven't read Marx. Okay, so I never claimed to be a communist. So I've never read
Yeah.
Marx. I've never read Engels. I probably should.
Yeah.
I
read
may
some
start
of
doing
it.
that when I start having time, but
Yeah.
I'm just too busy trying to survive and find stable employment
Yeah.
to do much reading anymore. But I'm pretty sure, based on what I do understand of the definitions of socialism and communism and Marxism, most people here in the United States don't fall into that category. They fall into New Deal liberal, but apply
Yeah.
it fairly and evenly to everyone, not just
Yeah.
to. So so when people say the word liberal, I just replace it with the word Democrat in my brain because I know they're not talking
Yeah.
about actual liberals.
Okay.
I know they're talking about Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
really wish that people would stop using the word liberal when what they really mean is Democrat.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't you hate when people take
Like
words and
Michael
twist
Moore
them
is a
around?
liberal, okay, a bleeding heart
Yeah.
liberal, and a
Yeah.
Russia-gating asshole to boot. But
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
but
sense.
yeah, he got Trump derangement syndrome just like everyone else. But he's kind of like Bernie Sanders of the liberal base, where he's got plenty of shade for Democrats when they're out of power, but not when they're in power.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's
I
true.
mean, he'll acknowledge their shortcomings, but he learned his lesson when he got blamed for putting Nader on the ballot and costing Al Gore the election. He turned around and realized what side of the bread his butter is on and started sucking up to the DNC. But if you actually look at his documentaries, yeah, bleeding heart liberal,
Oh yeah.
who
Oh
just
yeah.
doesn't have the courage of his convictions, much like Bernie Sanders. But
Yeah.
yeah, Sanders really has dropped the mask and shown his ass on far too many occasions. People are done with him, I think.
Oh
They're
yeah.
done with AOC and
Yeah.
the fraud squad, what's left of it anyway.
Yeah.
I think, and it's really, it goes to what Mike Gravel was saying about Obama back in 2008, where, he's making all these promises he has no intention of keeping, has no idea how to keep, and so he's going to create a whole new generation of cynics who won't believe other politicians who come along making all these grandiose promises like Sanders did, where he's like, and that's so Sanders ended up becoming the Obama really of 2016 and 2020 because he made all these promises he had no intention of keeping because he wouldn't fight for his victory or to really go against Biden during his 4 years to challenge him on legislation.
Right.
He should have been holding up legislation saying, look, you either pass Medicare for all or nothing gets through the Senate.
Yeah, make some concessions or something. God damn.
Make Biden veto it and put him on the spot.
Yeah, exactly.
But he won't do that because he's too afraid of pissing off the Democrats.
Yeah. But my thing is this, though, Mike. Like, Bernie should just retire. Like, bro, you 80 plus years old.
He should. He's proven that he's a fraud and that he hasn't got the courage of his convictions. I mean, he's too afraid of getting the Dennis Kucinich treatment, where he defied the White House and ended up getting drummed out of office because they legislated his district out of existence, and so they put him up against a right-wing primary opponent and backed the primary opponent and ended up costing him in the new district. Right. And he hasn't been able to get elected since to anything. He tried running for mayor of Cleveland 4 years ago. We've got a new mayoral election this year, and I'm not even sure who's running other than the incumbent, who turned out to be another Frank Jackson.
Oh, God.
Or Mike White.
I heard about Frank Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm ashamed to admit that I volunteered on Frank Jackson's first campaign for mayor. But then he spent the rest of his time in office letting everyone down who worked for him and voted to get him in office. Because after 4 years of Queen Jane Campbell, I wanted someone in there who would actually try to do something. But Jackson was like such a disappointment, and it's like I just want another Dennis Kucinich, someone younger who's got the fire in the belly and who's willing to take political risks and risk his or her political career to look out for the little person.
Yeah, somebody who actually gives a damn. That's what people be looking for. That's what we thought Bernie Sanders would be.
Yeah,
who gives actually damn, but as you know, so speaking of Muskrat and that game he played, I got a short clip of it.
Anyone spamming the chat? We'll get
you have no friends and you're down alone. And even with all the stats he bought for himself, he still couldn't go more than 5 seconds without his character getting killed.
Yeah, no. This is like pretend to be his ex. Oh my god. Oh shit. The look on his face says it all, too.
Yeah, he pretends he's some kind of gamer. He doesn't know anything about gaming.
Yeah, and then I think somebody... No, he didn't know how to play some game. I forgot what it was. He
doesn't know how to play any games, actually.
Yeah, somebody had to play the game for him to level up. To make him look relevant. Oh, my God.
Yeah, because, it's like the guy, it's like, if he's playing Monopoly... obviously his sycophants are going to deliberately lose to him at chess, checkers, whatever, just to make his ego feel great and big and powerful. But you put him in a situation where he has no control over anything, and watch him fold up like a little bitch and go crying and shitting his pants and running away to mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
It's like the kids online were mean to me. I'm not going to die alone and friendless.
Yeah.
I'm rich, bitch.
And his ex-wife, somebody pretend to be his ex-wife in there too. Then you better pay child support. Oh my god. Boy, that's gold. When
Yeah.
I saw that, man,
Yeah, I mean, Grimes left him for a trans woman,
yeah.
and one of his kids is trans, so he decided to buy Twitter and ruin everyone else's lives,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
so he could have one long extended temper tantrum.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a total prick. So, all right, Mike. Any last words before we head out?
Black Forest bacon is really tasty. I had it for lunch.
Yeah, man, you making me want a bacon cheeseburger right now with Black Forest bacon on it
Yeah,
too. Oh man, you
it's
know I
better
gotta
when it's
start eating
homemade,
right.
dude.
Yeah, man, I'm on a
Especially when
diet.
you use the bacon grease to oil the griddle to cook the burgers in. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Heart attack city. Okay,
Oh
I
my
won't be
god.
doing that again for another year or two
Oh
because
my
I turn the big
god, man.
5-1 next month. Okay, and my
Oh
cholesterol
yeah.
level is just at the border of where it should be. So I can't be doing this all the time like I used to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. Man. Yeah, Mike, you be giving me ideas, man. You know, I'm trying to, keep my weight down, be
but every once in a while is a treat. You can
yeah.
cheat once in a blue moon, like maybe once a month, every couple of months. Fine, have at
Yeah.
it. Just don't
Yeah.
go overboard with it.
Yeah.
Everything in
Yeah.
moderation.
Yeah. Yeah. But my godmom, she's like very strict about her eating. Like she don't believe in moderation at all. Like I'm like, I don't know how you live. Like
Yeah, you do have to allow yourself a cheat day every once in a while because
yeah.
otherwise, what's going to happen is the cravings are going to get so intense, you're going to fall off the wagon, and then you're going to spend how many weeks, months, years blaming yourself for being weak. It's like, dude, the whole point behind cheat days is so you give yourself an opportunity to be weak so that you're not bottling it all up and going on a binge. So you parse it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did the other week. I told you I had a caramel cake. Yeah, yeah, I couldn't help myself, couple of
Yeah.
slices, I didn't go
Yeah,
overboard. Just
but yeah, so I'm trying to pace myself now more these days. So today was my cheat day, but I've got to start eating more fresh fruits and veg. I've got to start eating more whole grains. Cut out the
yeah,
red meat. I don't get much red meat these days anyway,
yeah, me either.
because my aunt won't get any red meat, not because of health reasons, but so-called ethical reasons. It's like, and Kathy,
Yeah,
you do realize that chickens and turkeys are kept in even worse conditions than cows are. You do know that, right?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I can
exactly. At least the
understand giving up
cows out
pork
there.
because yeah, but cows really, you can't keep them in cage all day like you do with
Yeah,
pigs or chickens or turkeys.
yeah, yeah. At least the cows outside in the open,
Yeah,
sometime, you know what I mean. But yeah, yeah, man, I'm trying to stop eating pork myself. Like I just gonna cut pork out of my diet. Just eat, steak every now and then, chicken, turkey.
yeah.
Just
So,
trying to change the way I eat, stuff
or any
like that.
wild game too, but even then
Yeah,
you got to be careful because now
yeah,
venison, especially uh, wild deer, are getting like chronic wasting disease and other stuff that
oh yeah,
you really don't want to get that. And because a lot of this stuff involves these prions that that they're kind of like this rogue protein, so it's not alive, so cooking will not kill it. But you start eating those prions, they get up into your brain and start twisting everything around.
oh wow,
It's where they get
jeez,
mad cow disease.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, right, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. So all right,
But still
yeah,
though, if you're on a diet or you're trying to eat healthy, my last thought is don't be afraid to let yourself have cheat days, because if you don't, you're going to end
oh
up
yeah,
losing control at some point and blaming yourself and feeling like shit
yeah,
just for being human. So
yeah. By the way,
give yourself uh, time every now and then to be human.
exactly, yeah, 100%, yeah, Yeah, that's what I do. A couple of months out of the year, I go, eat a little bit while I want, So yeah, trying to keep this physique up. Trying to get that summer body, Mike. That summer bod. Flex on, still
Mhm.
flex on a motherfucker. Oh, I'm stupid. But all right, guys, that wraps up episode 9, 10. Hell, I lost count of the A&M podcast. I really enjoyed this. Like Mike, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like putting you on the network is like a breath of fresh air because
Thanks, man.
you
I
know
appreciate it, but it wouldn't be possible without you, man.
Oh yeah. I know, but you like talking to you, and you giving me new perspectives on things. Like you're the reason why I learned a lot of new stuff too. So yeah, I just had to give you your flowers while you living. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks.
All
Yeah, I've
right,
got a
Mike.
phone interview Thursday, so
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
yeah. And by the time this podcast come out, hopefully you have the job and the pay you deserve. So
Yeah, I had a false bit of hope a few weeks ago when I had a phone interview and it looked like I might get hired, but then I never heard from the guy again. But apparently he's having health issues of his own. And when you're
okay,
running a small nonprofit and it's primarily just you and the missus running it,
oh yeah,
yeah. So
it's tough. Yeah, yeah. All right, Mike. See you on the side, man. See you on Twitter. I
yeah,
mean.
yeah. Good night and good luck.
All right. Good luck to you on your phone interview.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.